The Crotchety Old Man podcast is not a registered investment, legal, or tax advisor or a broker-dealer. All investment and financial opinions expressed by or on the Crotchety Old Man podcast are from the personal research and experience of the owner of the site and are intended as educational material. Although best efforts are made to ensure that all information is accurate and up to date, occasionally unintended errors and misprints may occur. Before you invest or make any investment-based decisions, consider your own personal circumstances. You should do your own research and seek advice from a financial professional.
Welcome to another edition of the Crotchety Old Man podcast. I'm your host, George Crumley, along with Paul P.C. Clements.
Hey.
How are we doing today, Paul?
Hey, man, we're doing beautiful, brother. I'm 6 feet above, which is about as tall as I'm ever going to get in this life. Sun's out, shining bright, and took my walk. Life doesn't get any better than this, George.
I know that.
And we're living it and loving it together. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Retirement is a great thing. That's what people call it, retirement. And here, you know, one of the things that we always talk about on Crotchety Old Man is preparing for retirement. And so I wanted to talk a little bit today about budgeting for our young folks out there. You know, you're just straight out of college, you're trying to figure out how to budget. And one of the things that you probably figure out you got to have is a car. So I want to talk a little bit about, you know, some of the steps that you might want to look into as far as buying a car. What do you think about that, PC?
You know what? That's a very, very good topic right now because, like you said, we got a lot of young people that need cars. We got some old folk that need cars too, and I'm not going to mention any names or anything, but we need cars too. So we need a viable way in which to approach buying cars and what's to our advantage and how we can save some money.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And one of the things I want to talk about, especially with inflation right now, is how you got to do your homework. OK, first of all, you got to make sure that you understand you're not overbuying what you need. Remember, it's basic transportation and you're young. You're just getting out of school. So you want to get something that's going to get you from point A to B. I'm not saying don't buy a new car, but think about this. The difference between a new car and a used car is not much. In fact, as soon as you drive that car off the showroom floor, guess what? It's a used car. So when you really look at it, you're buying a used car. Okay, even though it has that nice smell, and they put that nice smell in used cars also. But the important thing is that you understand how much a car depreciates once you drive it off the floor. How you can really save by buying a used car. Now, there's some important things that you have to look at. One of the things is just like you've got, you know, your favorite guy cutting your hair, or going to the beautician, or doing your nails, or things like that. You build a relationship with these folks, but you also need to build a relationship with a mechanic. Very important. First step in buying a car is have a good mechanic. Okay, because what's going to happen is when you get to that point where you're actually ready to purchase that car, you're going to need to have your mechanic check it out. Okay, I do not advise buying a car based on what the salesperson is saying. You want to have it checked out by someone that you trust and that you're going to have service it, you know, once you have it. I mean, what do you think about that, PC?
And that's a very, very, very good point that a lot of people do not think about when they're buying cars. One thing I'd like to piggyback off of what you just said about the mechanic is the fact that the mechanic, if you have a personal mechanic that you can go to and get your car repaired, that mechanic can save you loads and loads and loads of money as opposed to having to go to a car dealership. The car is built to send you to the dealership so that it can continue to repeatedly make money off of you. They're making money off of you through the car dealership mechanics. The car is built in a way where it almost takes a genius to go in there and fix whatever. They got to remove so many parts. It's not like it used to be, George, when our fathers had us out there in the backyard working on those doggone cars.
Exactly.
So when you have a mechanic, that mechanic can save you a lot of money working on your car without having to go to the dealer.
Yeah, well, I don't know why you would lift the hood right now, because when you lift the hood, you don't know what you're looking at no way. At least I do.
Right.
But and then the next step I want to talk about is financing. one of the things you want to do is you want to build a relationship with a credit union. Used to be where you had to be a member or affiliation with something to become a member of a credit union, but that's not the case anymore. You can join a lot of credit unions out there just by walking in and filling out the paperwork, and that's a great thing because see, credit unions are owned by its members, as opposed to a bank. Okay, they charge less fees, and they work with you on things like car loans, house loans, and things like that. Just to give you an example, I did a little short survey, and right now, banks for car loans, banks are charging 4.24, 5.29, 4.35. That's for a car used or a new car loan. Credit unions, on the same hand, are charging 3.25, 2.0, 2.9, 2.7. So you can see right away there's a huge difference in just the interest rate that you can get from a credit union. So basically, when you go in to buy, you want to have that in your back pocket. You know, you don't have to let them know how you're financing the car because they're going to bake that finance charge into the cost of the car, and you don't want that to happen. You want to negotiate down to the best rate possible, and then once you have them committed, then you want to spring on them. Hey, I got my own finance.
Hey, there you go. Yeah, it doesn't make sense for them to have all the advantage in the negotiating, and the negotiating, in my opinion, is probably the most important aspect about buying a car in the first place. And George, like you were saying, if you're going through your own bank versus their bank and so forth and so on, you got a little bit more ammunition to fight with. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And that's so important because of the fact that, like I said, they make money not off of just selling you the car at a markup, but they also make money off of the financing portion of it. So a couple of things to keep in mind, as from a budgetary perspective, I call it the 20-38 rule. And that basically consists of when you buy a car, you want to try to put 20% down. Okay. That way, you've saved, you can reduce the cost of it. And that's a pretty significant foot in the foothold as far as how much you're putting down. The second thing is you don't want to finance that car for over 3 years. Okay. That way you get a good rate and you're not paying for this thing for 5-7 years, because think about it. I mean, the longer you pay for that car, it's like you're paying double for it. And like you say, with the way cars wear out these days, you try to hold on to them as long as you possibly can, but you don't want to get a 7-year note. And, in 7 years, that car it's just so expensive to maintain that, you don't want to be in that position. So 3 years is about what do you want to do. And the 8 comes in is you don't want it to be more than 8% of your take home monthly pay. That way you allow yourself to still maintain as far as home, groceries, and all those other necessities. So the 20-38 rule is what you kind of want to remember when you're buying a car.
I agree with that, George, all the way, because the interest is what gets you. And it might be to your advantage, you would think, if you're able to get a loan that's 5 and 6 years, because it decreases your car note. But in the end, you're actually paying way more money.
Exactly. And I'm going to just throw one more tidbit in. You go through that credit union. Credit union gives you 6 months to refinance that car at no additional cost. So, for example, if you have a particular interest rate and interest rates drop within that first 6 months, you can refinance that car through the credit union, lowering your payment without any additional cost. So that's a great tip. So if you didn't know before, now you know. Paul, what you going to leave us with today?
I'm going to leave you with this tidbit that I found in my affirmations, and it says, no matter where you are or what you're going through, always believe there is light at the end of the tunnel.
And with that, Crotchety Old Men podcast signing out. Peace.
Peace.